I'm Chris with MeadorsMusings, toys, tech, and more. Well, I've been using my Spigen Tough Armor Apple Watch case for over a week now, almost 2 weeks, and you know what? It's held up and it does what it advertises, but is it worth your money? This video is brought to you by iPhone in Canada. So because it is a kind of soft type plastic, it really is easy to get your Apple Watch into. You just kind of slide it in, get it in over those edges where the strap kind of fits in. It can be a little tricky at first, but you know, once you get the hang of it, it is pretty easy to get the watch in and out. And all the openings are open there. As you can see, the sensors, nothing covering that. There is a little button right here that is covering the one little button there. You still have access to the digital crown, although it can make it a little more difficult to access. Nothing on the side, the bottom, and all that is wide open. And of course, the touch screen there, it's pretty responsive. I'll get into that more in a little bit. But then to slide the screen on, you just take that and then snap it on. You want to make sure that it is flush all the way around. Kind of makes a clicking noise when it is all together. There we go. There's what it looks like with it on. It doesn't look that great, and I think that's probably one of my biggest concerns. Now with the opening so accessible right there, it is easy to get the bands in. All you have to do is just like without it on, you just slide them in just like so. Oops, kind of messed up there, but there we go. Slide it in. Now one of the questions I do get asked is, well, can you take the bands off easily with that case on? And yes, you can. It does have these little spots right there where you kind of push in and it activates the little button on the watch. Easily to slide out. Again, show you, just push that and slide it out. So it is easy to get the bands on and off if you are somebody that is trying to use a bunch of different bands or you like switching them out all that often. It is fairly easy to do with this case on it. So with the Tough Armor case on it, I really don't worry about scratching my Apple Watch. You may remember I did have a couple of scratches along the bezel. With the built-in screen shield, I'm not worried about scratching the screen, which was my biggest concern, which is why I wanted to try something like this just to test it out. And I bumped it a couple of times. In fact, I've dropped it a couple of times, and so far it's held up very well. It does, as I said, work as advertised. You see right there, it does say shock resistant, and it's protected my Apple Watch very well. I'm not paranoid about scratching it, because again, I know I've said this a million times, but I really don't know how I scratched the screen on my last one. So in that regards, the Tough Armor works extremely well, and it's really nice peace of mind. Now again, the sensors, everything all works just as it should. Again, as I said, your digital crown still works. It's a little tougher to use. The button on the side, very responsive as you would hope. The one concern I do have is the screen shield. Now, it works not bad. Most of the time it works really well, but there are times where it has not been as responsive as just a regular touchscreen. And that's because it's built right in and it's not the best type of screen shield. But overall, I would say it's probably worked fine about 95% of the time. There's been a couple of times where it hasn't been all that responsive, especially with the force touch or if I'm trying to swipe down from the top or swipe up from the bottom. So that is one knock against this Tough Armor case from Spigen. My other concern with the Spigen Tough Armor case is its look, right? I mean, this looks like a tank. This is what people have told me, and I agree. It looks like you're wearing a tank on your wrist. It really does take away from the look of the Apple Watch and what it's supposed to look like, and that is my biggest concern. I like the fact that my Apple Watch is protected. I don't worry about it. I don't worry about bumping, scratching, any of that kind of stuff. But the look of it is a big problem for me. And that is my biggest complaint with this case. And I think in cases in general. I mean, yeah, you know, you may want to protect it a little bit and you may want to keep it as pristine as possible. But in doing so, you really are taking away the look of the Apple Watch. And I don't think there's any way around that. You're either going to sacrifice perhaps the durability of your watch and it getting scratched and scuffed and stuff like that, and that shouldn't be a problem, right? I mean, watches, you wear them all the time, they get scratched, they get scuffed all the time. My biggest concern was the screen and scratching it, because again, I don't know how I did that last time. So that was my reasoning. And again, the screen shield, it protects it very, very nice, but at the cost of the look of the Apple Watch. And that is my biggest concern. It works fine. As I said, you still have access to everything. Everything within the watch still works perfectly, but the look of it just isn't right. Now, because the case is easy to take off and put back on, I mean, you could take it off if you're just heading out for supper or somewhere where you know you're not in danger of scratching it, dropping it, or something like that. But then you put yourself at risk of something else. Now, because it is a built-in screen shield, if you're taking it off and putting it back on all the time, you're running the risk of getting debris under there. I mean, you could get a little dirt or anything, and then if you're using the screen, you could be scratching it up, and then of course it's not being protected. Also, with the built-in screen shield, it's a little tacky on the underside. Now that is prone to picking up debris like lint and that, and it's tough to get off, and then it just doesn't look right. You got the smudges on the inside and they don't go away, and it's really not that great. Now, for me, I would probably just suggest maybe going with a regular screen shield and maybe not the full case, but I've heard that screen shields from Spigen and even other companies aren't that great. They're a little tough with the curviness of the Apple Watch screen, so I don't know. There really doesn't seem to be a great solution right now. Overall, I mean, like I said, the Spigen Tough Armor case does what it's supposed to. It protects it against drops, scratches, bumps, you name it, it is going to protect it. So for that, if that's what you're really looking for, then this is a no-brainer. This is a great case. But again, ultimately, it takes away from the look of the Apple Watch. It doesn't add a lot of weight or anything. I have found that when I'm putting it on my wrist, I do have to use a one less hole. Usually I have it down here at the second to last one. With this on it, I am putting it right there for the most comfortable fit, but yeah, again, it really takes away from the look of the watch, and I'm not a big fan of that. But again, I can't say that it doesn't protect it, because it does. It does a really good job protecting it. It just, in my opinion, takes away from the look of the Apple Watch, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of it. But I know if you're a very active person, if you're out there doing a lot of sports and stuff, you may want to consider picking this up. Now, I know that the watches are supposed to be durable, and they're supposed to be protective against scratches and all that kind of thing, but as I've shown you, you can scratch your screen pretty easily, and you may not even know how you did it or anything like that. So you got to be careful. So if you are in the market for a case for your Apple Watch, the Spigen Tough Armor is a great choice. But if you're someone that, it's just going to bother you with the look of the watch, again, it looks like a tank, then I would suggest just going without a case, because really there's not really that great of solution out there right now. Hope you found this video informative. If you did, hit up that like button. It does help me grow this channel. And also feel free to subscribe. That way you're not going to miss any future videos here on MeadorsMusings, Toys, Tech, and more. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.